Hey everyone, welcome to my Booktube channel. So my name is Emily and I have been on Bookstagram for about 4 years under the same name, so Emily Lost in the Library, and I decided that I would start a Booktube channel. This was just an idea that I had after watching it for a few months now. And the thing that I like about Booktube is I can put it on in the background, still get recommendations, and get to connect with other readers without having to actively scroll social media. So I figured that I would give it a go and see how it goes. So today I am going to be doing the new Booktuber tag. Here we go. Okay, the first question is, why did you start this channel? So I kind of already got into that a little bit in the introduction, but I have been really loving book social media. Like I have been on BookTok, Bookstagram, and Booktube, and just really enjoy the community that is there, and also just learning new book recommendations from other readers. What I was finding the past few months is that I really just wanted to have longer conversations with people. So I thought that YouTube was the good and best place for that. So here we are. The second question is, what are some fun and unique things that I can bring to Booktube? So in my opinion, every single reader is fun and unique. So I just plan to bring myself. If I had to answer this question, I think that I would say I'm a really big library patron. So I use the library to read most of my books. So I think that that's kind of the angle that I want to approach things. I really want to encourage others to visit their library, use library resources, especially new readers. If you are just getting into the hobby, I think that there's a lot of pressure sometimes to buy a lot of things, and really you don't need to because the library has so much for free. So that is something that I'm excited to talk about more, but also just kind of bringing my own unique self to Booktube. So that is what I'm going to try and contribute. This next question I'm excited about. It is, what are you most excited for about Booktube? And I'm really excited to build community. That's kind of been like the hallmark of my Bookstagram. I don't have a huge follower count. I mean, I have a lot for me, but it's not massive compared to others. But what I do have is a group of people that like to talk about books and get my sense of humor and chat about things. And so I really hope that that translates to Booktube and in the comments, just chatting back and forth, and hearing your responses to things that I say in videos. So I'm just really excited to meet some more book friends. I am a millennial, so like I grew up coming of age with the internet. So like meeting friends online isn't as like abnormal. I don't think it's like taboo anymore, but it's just something that kind of has been a part of my life, you know, through like starting in my teenage years, kind of going through college and even post-college. Now into my 30s, just like it's okay to make friends all over the country, all over the world who just share a similar interest. And I think online is a really good place to do that. So just can't wait to meet more bookish friends. The next question is, why do you love reading? So what a loaded question. I love reading because it's an escape from reality. And I also think that it is a really great way for me to be put in the shoes of other people and see things in their perspective. And I don't have that opportunity a lot. I think a lot of us don't, you know, unless you have a really diverse friend and family group and community. I think that books are just a really great way for you to hear about other people's perspectives and see things through their eyes and walk in their shoes without actually doing that. I just think it's a really accessible way for people to do that. So that is one of the reasons that I love to read. And yeah, I'm curious why you guys like to read. So maybe shout that out in the comments. Let me know why you like to read. Okay, up next is a fun question. So this is, what book or series got you into reading? So I was thinking a lot about how I read as a kid and what I read as a kid and just some of the books that stuck out to me, but specifically like different series that stuck out to me. So I have a few that I wrote down, but growing up, I loved the Dear America series. And the way that these were written was kind of in diary form, which really was a way that things were written that really resonated with me at the time. So that was easy for me to read. It also got me into The Princess Diaries by Meg Cabot, which was a book series that I loved and a movie that I loved. Also, okay, do you guys remember the Mary-Kate and Ashley chapter books? Because I do, and I loved them. I have this really vivid memory of me being a kid in the car, and I had this Mary-Kate and Ashley chapter book checked out from the library, and my dad was running errands and I was in the back seat and I was just reading this book, and it was, I think, like a mystery maybe. I can't even remember what it was, but I just remember being like, what's gonna happen next? And so I feel like no one talks about those, but like, tell me if you grew up around the same time I did, if you read those books, because I loved them. I also loved, obviously, the American Girl doll books. They were so much fun. And I also liked the Magic Treehouse books, which makes me happy because that series is still around. I mean, all of these series are still around, right? Because you can access any of these books, but I think it's still like a relevant and popular series. Like my niece, who is 7, she reads them and really enjoys them. So that makes me happy. As an adult, there was one series that got me kind of back into reading, and that was the Me Before You series by Jojo Moyes. And I love that series. It is right back here. I have it on my bookshelf because I just like to keep it front and center and remind myself of just one of the best series, in my opinion, and how it got me back into reading. So next question is, what questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? I don't really know. I think I have more technical questions than anything, like editing and making things look good. So being on Bookstagram, like when I'm on stories, I just kind of talk. So being on Booktube, I kind of want to have a little bit more editing. So just kind of like, what would be your biggest technical tip? Let me know. The next question after that is, what challenge about starting a Booktube channel do you think is the hardest for you to overcome? And for me, I think that's going to be filming consistently. So I have some chronic health issues, and so some days I just am not going to be able to film. So trying to like batch those videos, like when I am feeling up to it, I think is going to be the way that I do it. The next question is, and we're getting close to the end, the next question is, when did you start reading? So I started reading as a child, and then I stopped a little bit I read like a little bit in high school and college, but not super consistently. And then I took a little bit of a break, and then it was 2015 when I got back into reading, and then I think 2020 was when it really kind of accelerated. The next question is, where do you read? I mostly read in bed, but I also read on the couch and just anywhere, really. I mean, I'll read oftentimes on my Kindle app on my phone, like if I'm waiting somewhere, like at a doctor's office or getting my oil changed, things like that. But most of the time I am reading in my couch or in my bed or on the couch. And if I'm reading an audiobook, which I do read, I would say like 30% of the time, 30 to 40% of the time, that'll just be if I'm out walking. It'll be if I'm around the house doing chores, folding laundry, doing dishes, those types of things. So really all the time, but those are kind of like the main ways that I read and where I read. This is a fun question. So what kind of books do you like to read? Oh, great question. I'm so glad you asked. I love to read romance. Romance is my number one genre. I love it. It's just really great. There's so many different subgenres, so you kind of get like a catch-all and this like formula in a sense, but you can still have a lot of wiggle room when it comes to the subgenres. So I like historical, I like small town, I like romantic suspense. I mean, rom-coms. I like them all. And that, like, landing on the romance genre really kicked into gear in 2020 when I was looking for kind of the more formulaic, more predictable books. I like to read, in addition to romance, contemporary fiction, historical fiction, nonfiction, and memoir. And most recently, like this past year, I got into cozy mysteries, and that is one that I really, really enjoy. And I think that's going to kind of rival my romance reading. Maybe not get up totally as high, but it's definitely one that I've been gravitating towards a lot, like in the past few months specifically. So romance, cozy mysteries, historical fiction, contemporary fiction, nonfiction, memoir, pretty much sums up where I'm at. The last question is, what does your physical book collection look like? So you kind of get a glimpse of my little reading corner here. Me and my husband, we have 3 bookshelves. So 2 are downstairs in the living room, and then I have this one here in my book corner. And then I have a Kindle overflowing with books to read. Not to mention library tags, library holds, physical library, as well as Libby and Hoopla. So my collection is extensive, but I wouldn't have it any other way. So to me, it's just really nice. Even if I haven't read all of these books that I have on my shelves, it's nice to have them there as kind of like the possibilities of what I could read. And also the books that I have read, having those on my shelves to remind me of the stories that I love and the experience that I had while I was reading them. So you get a little glimpse of the book corner. It's my little cozy oasis, and I really like it. So anyway, that wraps up the new Booktuber challenge tag. And I hope that you all, if you've made it this far, will leave me a comment and say hi and let me know, introduce yourselves, let me know if anything I said in this video resonated with you, if we have anything in common. And don't forget, you can also like and subscribe as well. I would love to have you hang around. And until next time, I hope you have a great day. Bye.